Alright, so earlier today, Shinsuke Yamanaka successfully defended his WBC World Bantamweight Championship for the 11th time against Anselmo Moreno in a rematch of a fight that the two of them had almost exactly a year ago. However, in spite of the fact that the first time they fought, it was a split decision victory for Yamanaka. In this second fight, it wound up being a seventh round technical knockout for Yamanaka, and definitely one of the contenders for Fight of the Year. Very much different from some of the other contenders for Fight of the Year, however, because while it seems like most of the major fights that have gotten a lot of fanfare, a lot of acclaim, those were decision wins for one fighter or the other. Whereas this fight ended in a stoppage finally for Yamanaka after the two of them basically traded knockdowns repeatedly, traded being hurt several times, and traded the rounds they won. Matter of fact, I mean this was a close nip and tuck type of a fight, just a brutal fight. Incidentally, in spite of the fact that at first it was looking like it was going to be more of a technical display similar to the first fight. In the first round, Anselmo Moreno came out fast. He was throwing, working behind his jab, throwing nice, quick. Both of these guys are southpaws, by the way. Nice, quick right jabs, right hooks, and landing the left cross, pretty repeatedly. But in spite of the fact that Moreno was probably winning that first round, and he definitely was as far as I was concerned, Yamanaka managed to drop him with just a clean left hand over what was turning into a little bit of a pawing jab from Moreno. Just landed a perfectly timed a clean left hand over the top. Caught him right on the chin checked him, sent him down towards his knees, essentially, like almost like face first, but like he caught himself, he broke his fall. So Moreno, he didn't necessarily look especially hurt from that shot. It looked like it was a shot that hurt him in the moment, dropped him. But he looked like he was okay as soon as he got on his feet, which was pretty quickly. It's like he went down, he got up. That was the end of the round. However, there was only about 5, 6, 7 seconds left in the round, so he got up. The ref, cleaned off his gloves. The bell rang, and they were on to round 2, where I thought Moreno still controlled the action. He wound up winning the second round. I thought he was landing the cleaner, more effective shots. The third round, yeah, it was another close round. Yamanaka, I thought, landed the cleaner, more effective shots. But the thing is, like, the second and third round, you could have easily given to either fighter or had it a draw. The fourth round comes around. Anselmo Moreno winds up landing a huge left hand, like about midway into the round. Drops Yamanaka. Is looking to try and follow up. Lands a few pretty big shots. But Yamanaka lands his own as well. I mean, Yamanaka managed to land a clean left hand right after one of Moreno's clean left hands. So it's like these two guys were just trading big power shots with their backhands. Kind of classic boxing. The backhand is usually the power hand, and it was definitely the power hand as far as both were concerned. Even though both of them were landing pretty nice right hooks and right uppercuts on occasion, the power of this fight, the drama of this fight, was coming from both of their left hands in a major way. Through 4 rounds, I remember the judges actually having it. 2 judges had Yamanaka up by 1 point. The other judge had a draw up until that point. And then they went into the 5th round. Another close round. Another round that you could have scored for either guy, really. I scored it for Yamanaka. 6th round. Finally, Yamanaka drops Moreno once again with a big left hand. Putting Moreno down on his ass, basically. Moreno gets up. The two of them are trading blows. Moreno, it looked like he's actually getting the better of some of the exchanges, in spite of the fact that he was just down. But I think a lot of that has to do with Yamanaka having left himself just a little bit too open in the follow-up, trying to get a little too anxious in order to get the stoppage. But finally, in the 7th round, Yamanaka wound up dropping Moreno twice, and that was basically all she wrote. Dropped him the first time with a huge left hand that laid Moreno flat on his back. And I was actually surprised that he managed to get up from that shot, because the way he got laid out, it was almost like a domino falling. Like he just got laid down, but he managed to get up, beat the 8 count for the ref, or the 10 count, what have you. And Yamanaka basically just flurried him in the follow-up, managed to drop him instead on his butt. Basically like in a sitting position against the corner turnbuckle. And at that point, the ref waved it off because Moreno's face was looking, the worse for wear in terms of him being hurt. His eyes were bugging out of his head. He was looking like like every shot that Yamanaka was hitting him with was doing like serious damage. You know, his body was like contorting in weird, crazy ways that weren't like the defensive manner that he normally tries to dodge or evade or block punches with. And with that, you know, another fight of the year type of candidate, and Yamanaka manages to bring home the victory. You know, this is now his 11th title defense. And, you know, going into this fight, for the past few months, considering the fact that Yamanaka's started to get ranked in the top 10 pound for pound on Ring Magazine in particular, I think they have him ranked number 9, if I remember correctly, as of this morning, before these two actually had their fight. I was pretty skeptical of it. I was somebody that was saying that, you know, if they wanted to rate a guy from around that same weight class area, and especially from Japan, you know, both of those those two factors combined, I felt like Naito Inoue deserved it more. But I mean, I can't necessarily say that Yamanaka doesn't deserve it at all, considering what he's managed to accomplish for himself. He's managed to rack up a number of, you know, just solid title defenses. Since winning the vacant belt from Christian Esquivel. And if I remember correctly, I believe that the vacant WBC title was vacant essentially after Leo Santa Cruz had vacated it in order to move up to Super Bantamweight. Of course, now Santa Cruz is a featherweight. But, you know, of course, Yamanaka was a bit of a beneficiary in that case, you know, being one of the top 2 contenders, TKO'd Christian Esquivel in a good fight. And since then, you know, he's managed to make some pretty good defenses over the likes of Victor Chinian, you know, a very well-known name, over the likes of Sorian Kakana, aka Sorian Sorongvasai, who himself is a couple of time world champion, and over Liborio Solis, and now for the second time, Anselmo Moreno, has racked up a number of really solid wins, primarily by knockout, aside from the first Moreno fight. But Yamanaka is just doing his thing, man. He's 26-0-2 now with 18 knockouts. Moreno is now 36-5-1. And, you know, Yamanaka managed to do something that nobody else had been able to do against Moreno. You know, Moreno had some pretty tough fights, some pretty close fights. You know, the heartbreaking loss to Juan Carlos Payano, for instance, was a recent one. And then, of course, the one that most people have probably seen being the loss that he took to Abner Mares. But however, you know, that was a fight at Super Bantamweight as opposed to Bantamweight. And of course, Mares at the time was on his way to becoming a pound for pound level of a star, considering the fact that he had went on that hellacious run where he managed to win the Showtime Bantamweight tournament, defeat Moreno, move up and defeat Daniel Ponce de Leon. You know, he was on a hell of a tear there for a little while. You know, definitely top 5 level type of pound for pound talent. But even he wasn't able to stop Moreno in that fight. You know, he was able to bust him up, you know, beat him up a little bit, but wasn't able to stop him. And even in spite of the fact that I'd say that Moreno was definitely more competitive than Yamanaka than Mares, from that fight that he had with them, Yamanaka's finishing of him is definitely a very impressive feat. And he definitely deserves the number 1 rating and essentially now the Ring Magazine Championship, which got its vacancy filled with Yamanaka defeating Moreno. So I'm sure he'll be getting that belt fairly soon. They may have like some sort of ceremony, if not, you know, just mailing it to him, of course. But you know, he's now the clear top guy in what's become a little bit of a pretty stacked bantamweight division. You know, I've been waxing poetic about the super flyweights getting down and dirty and doing some big things and being filled with incredible, just incredible boxing talents as a whole. You know, great, fantastic mix and clash of styles between the top 5, top 10 fighters there. And bantamweight is very much turning into a similar type of a situation. You know, you got Yamanaka, who's definitely the clear number 1. Moreno, off of this loss, probably will drop a spot or 2 or 3. Considering the other top fighters in the division, you got guys like Jamie McDonnell, of course, WBA champion, Rashid Warren, who's also a WBA super champion. You got Juan Carlos Payano, who of course recently took a close loss to Rashid Warren after defeating him in their initial fight. You got Tomoki Kameda, who is still a big star in Japan. That could be a potential fight. Coming down fairly soon down the line. Yamanaka versus Kameda. The Kameda family name holds a lot of sway. Yamanaka, of course, is one of Japan's biggest stars at the moment as well. So that'd be a big money fight. But of course, Kameda took those two tough close losses to Jamie McDonnell, in what were just two excellent fights last year on PBC. Similar to the Warren Payano fights, albeit I'd say that in terms of like just sheer action and pace, the McDonnell Kameda fights I think were better fights to actually watch. You have Lee Haskins, who just managed to defeat Stuart Hall in a rematch, a little bit of a grudge match type situation. Ponglon Sorsingu, of course, former champion. Marlon Tapales, who is the WBO champion, and then you got Zolani Tete there as well. Paul Butler. Two more former champions, Butler at both 115 and 118, Tete at 115. And then even Naoya Inoue's little brother, Takuma Inoue, who is likely to face off against Marlon Tapales at the end of this year, probably on one of the New Year's cards. So, just pretty much a pretty stacked division. I named off about 12, 13 different guys there that are, just high-level talents in the weight class, and mix and match pretty much any of those guys up against each other, and you're gonna wind up with just a fun fight, man. Just a fun action-packed fight. The variety of styles in there is real. The level of quality there is immense. Just high-quality fighters all the way around. And considering the fact that McDonnell's going to be fighting Rasheed Warren coming up for basically the full WBA title now that they're having all of their unifiers starting this year, I think it'd be nice to see the winner get a shot at Yamanaka, or vice versa. That just have the winners fight the winners. I'd definitely like to see that. But in the meantime, like I mentioned previously, Yamanaka versus Tomoki Kameda, I think would be an excellent fight. It'd be a fun to watch fight, a fan-friendly fight. Two very good boxers, boxer-punchers essentially, very similar types of styles, albeit from two different stances. Tomoki is more of an orthodox fighter, although he switch hits from time to time. Yamanaka definitely way more comfortable in the southpaw positioning. But, regardless of it, Yamanaka did his thing. He's finally basically crowned himself clearly the top guy of the division. He's now, the man of the division, the champion, the world champion of the division. Although, some of the other belt holders may feel some type of way about that, and if they really do, they know where to find him. Yamanaka's bringing home some pretty nice paychecks as I see it from over there in Japan. So should be solid fights regardless of what happens to him next, or what happens to Moreno next, or any of the other fighters that I mentioned. Perhaps Moreno can get back into the title shot opportunity for one of the other titles, and then maybe potentially run it back against Yamanaka at a future date, should he manage to clean out some of these other contenders. But that's going to pretty much do it for me, guys. As usual, I'm going to post the link to the video in the description. I really implore you guys to check it out. Just a good scrap, man. Good scrap. About a half an hour of your time, well spent. Just a lot of fun to watch. So, just wanted to shout that out to y'all, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.